What's up, worldies? It's James, back with another video for you here on Too Fat for Footy. So it's been a wild ride for the past few days. Few games in the Euros, but a lot of what we're going to cover today, it's Copa America. So if you don't know about South American soccer, I don't blame you. No one really does. It's one of those things that we know happens, and we know Brazil and Argentina are good. And then there's a bunch of other countries that we just don't follow here in the States. That's just the way things go. But honestly, it's one of the best groups of soccer playing nations in the world, with some of the top talent and some of the best teams that you're going to see. I mean, honestly, there's a reason that a South American country has won the World Cup 9 times. Yes, you heard me. 9. Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay. That's pretty good, considering there's only been, 21 tournaments. So 9 out of 21, it's almost half. Almost half. So all those things considered, there's some good soccer played down there in South America. Generally, you can't count out Colombia, spelled with an O, not with a U. You also can't count out Chile to have a good showing. Paraguay's put in a result or two, and then Ecuador and Peru tend to get in on the fun. All in all, this has been an exciting tournament, and there have been a couple results that'll kind of throw people off if you follow the game, and then if you're just looking at it as a casual fan, you're gonna go, why did that team lose? To understand Copa America, you have to understand how they do this tournament. Generally, it's a biannual tournament, so they play every 2 years. However, this edition is a little stranger than most. If you remember, we hosted the Copa America in 2016, which was the centenario version, obviously 100 years celebration, and we didn't do so hot, even as an invited country. Generally, they host this tournament every 2 years, so that means 2016, 2018, 2020. Oh wait. Obviously, things got pushed back because of COVID, so they ended up playing it this year instead. However, due to the civil unrest in Colombia and Argentina having an outbreak of COVID that they couldn't control, the tournament organizers decided to move the tournament to Brazil. Here's the problem. Brazil's got COVID too. In fact, their president, Jair Bolsonaro, thinks that social distancing measures actually make COVID worse and will make for a worse time in his country economically. Now, I'm not going to give you my opinion on what I think of this guy, but let's just say he's a... Right. So because of COVID, the tournament gets pushed back, and now we have to play it this year. That gives the Brazilians a huge advantage, because generally when Brazil hosts the Copa America, they tend to win the thing. Huge home field advantage type deal. And the way that the tournament was scheduled to happen, it was supposed to be 3 groups of 4 teams. Qatar, being the host of the 2022 World Cup, and Australia were supposed to be invited last year to participate in the tournament as the invitees. Obviously, due to the pandemic, none of that ever happened, and they didn't get an invite back this year. Specifically, those teams didn't even want to come to South America because of how bad COVID was ravaging the continent. For those of you who need help with that, country is the small one, continent's the big one. I know there's somebody out there. So instead of trying over and over to get countries to come to South America and play, they decided to stick with the 10 that they've got and run the whole thing back. This year's tournament features 2 groups of 5 teams. Group A consists of Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Bolivia. And then Group B is Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, and Venezuela. But more than likely this year, Argentina and Brazil are going to end up meeting each other in the final match. Now obviously, whoever the tournament organizers are, pretty smart guys and gals and people. Yeah, pretty smart, because more than likely those 2 teams are going to meet in the final. It's just the way the tournament works. It's the way the tournament tends to work. That's awkward. Neymar versus Messi. As good as you can get it. And it's going to be played in Brazil, so you know that if fans are allowed for some way, some reason, it's going to be rocking in that stadium. To kick off the South American affair, we're going to check out Group A. In your group, you play each of the other teams once for a total of 4 games. Once you've played those games, the top 4 teams out of those 5 who have the highest point total move on to the quarterfinals, which is a knockout stage. The top of Group A plays the bottom of Group B, and then so on and so forth in a mixed match style until you get your 8 quarterfinalists. They play single leg knockout games until the final, which will be played on July 10th. After 6 rounds, Argentina currently leads Group A, followed by Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Bolivia. It's no real surprise that that's how it's stacked up. I had a little differently. I had the same results, but I just had them getting there in a kind of different way. Argentina drew with Chile in their first match and then knocked off both Paraguay and Uruguay 1-0 to top the group. Chile drew Uruguay as well as beating Bolivia to put them at 5 points, and then the other 3 teams still have yet to get anything going. Paraguay and Uruguay still have yet to play each other, which could be a crucial match in figuring out who is seated where. Unfortunately for Bolivia, they've already lost their first 2 games, and I don't see them beating Argentina, and I don't see them beating Uruguay. In a surprising turn of events, Uruguay is actually 4th in their group, and if they want to advance into the semis or even the final of this tournament, they're going to have to put in some performances and get a win or 2 along the way. Luis Suarez finally scored for them again, but it hasn't shown to be enough moving forward. In the other bracket, we've got Group B, led by Brazil. Who'd have thunk it? After only 2 games, they have a goal difference of +7 and 2 wins. So honestly, they're not going to lose out in the group, and they're probably going to top Group B. That being said, Colombia could still challenge if they slip up, because they're sitting in second with 4 points and still have a match left to play. Peru, Venezuela, and Ecuador round out the bottom 3 for this group. And honestly, no one looks like they're going to challenge Brazil for the top of the perch of the group. Neymar's already got 2 goals for the Brazilians, and honestly, I don't see him stopping scoring now. Going into the next round of games, Group A is kind of already decided. Argentina only has Bolivia left, and honestly, they're going to push them over and win the group by a large margin. Chile is probably going to push aside Paraguay, finishing second in the group and opening the door for Uruguay to sneak into third. Paraguay is going to finish 4th in Group A, and then Bolivia is going to round out the bottom and not move on to the quarterfinal. Group B is a little bit more strained. While it looks an innocent group now, Colombia is actually in a lot of trouble. They've already played 3 matches, and they've only taken away 4 points. Their next game coming up is against the Brazilians, and if things don't work out the way that they need them to, they might be out of the tournament. Things haven't been going great for Colombia. James Rodriguez wasn't selected to come to the tournament after the medicos determined he wasn't physically fit. Against a Venezuela side that they should have rolled over, they tied 0-0 after a huge performance by the Venezuelan goalkeeper. Wilker Farinez kept them in the game and faced 23 shots compared to just the Venezuelans' 2 on the Colombian net. For the game to end 0-0, that's a pretty fantastic performance. To make matters worse for Colombia, Peru beat them 2-1. Colombia's talisman Yerry Mina, who's the star in James Rodriguez's absence, put in an own goal to secure the Peruvians' victory and almost guarantee that the Colombians have to beat Brazil in order to advance to the knockout stages. I say almost because Ecuador still exists. Ecuador hasn't put up a great fight against most of the teams that are in this group, and I see it coming down to them and Venezuela between the 2 for the last spot. Brazil's going to march on. They're going to win their next 2 games, and then the Peruvians are going to get a tie and a win to follow them up with 7 points. Colombia's probably going to get lucky and steal 3rd simply because of the fact that Venezuela and Ecuador have to play Brazil and Peru. That's it. Brazil tops the group, Peru, Colombia, and then Ecuador is going to sneak it out on goal difference, unfortunately for the Venezuelans, who have fought valiantly throughout the tournament. This is going to set up the quarterfinal matchups looking like this. Argentina should push Ecuador aside. Brazil just knocked off Paraguay a couple weeks ago in World Cup qualifying, so the top 2 seeds are going to be it. Uruguay-Peru has a chance to be a pretty good match, possibly even go to extra time or penalties, but I still see Luis Suarez leading Uruguay to victory in this one. The tasty matchup is going to be Arturo Vidal in Chile taking on Yerry Mina in Colombia. Can the Colombians recover from almost getting knocked out in the first round of the tournament, or are the Chileans, the defending champions, going to just have too much for them moving forward? Give me Chile by a goal in extra time. By the time we talk Copa America again, it'll be next week, and we'll know exactly what happened with those quarterfinal matchups, who made it, who didn't, and who's into the semifinals. If you haven't watched any of the South American tournament, honestly, it's fun soccer to watch. Lots of diving, lots of fouls, but when they score and when they play well, it's beautiful. That's why it's the beautiful game. Thanks for checking out this edition of Too Fat for Footy. If you enjoyed the video, Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Share it with your friends, because I'm hoping you've got some. And if you didn't like it, all the haters and all the trolls, leave a comment down below in the comment section. I love it, I want to hear it, and it helps me get better. So I appreciate you guys, even if you don't appreciate me. I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday, where we wrap up the end of the Euros, and I make my predictions for who's going to win the round of 16. Until then, worldies, keep kicking. The top of Group A plays the bottom of Group B. The top of Group A plays the bottom of Group B in a mixed match style, so on and so forth. That's a really hard thing to say too.